What's up? It's July 9th, 2021. I'm recording this only in the hopes that it might reach an audience member which is going through a difficult time in whatever phase of their life, because I know how helpful it was for me. I don't think it's recently now, it's about 5 years ago or 6, but through one of my life events being a divorce, I would be in a very dark place, and I discovered a YouTuber which was a therapist and helped me get through a difficult time. His name is Daniel. I forgot the last name and I haven't saved it. It's been a long time since I watched it. But anyways, I knew how helpful it was, and I also know that I'm actually now in a relatively stable place, so I'm able to speak about this non-grudgingly and with objection rather than getting wrapped up in my own trauma. I just feel like I'm in a liberty to speak about this subject, going through the ins and outs of it, and enduring so much. So if you are experiencing depression or anxiety, this is not professional counseling or my advice, but it's just something to consider. Might be helpful. So we'll start with depression, and I will say that I have leaned away from taking pharmaceutical medications for clinical depression, that of which lasting longer than 30 days, then you're in severe depression. No, I never took it mainly because I've never had health insurance, had a stable employment, or financial income to support that. I mostly subsidized it with I've gone a more medicinal route with my medications, being herbal and holistic in terms of just combating depression. But that includes psychedelic mushrooms and marijuana and holy basil. I've taken it all. 5-HTP, like there's a blood-brain barrier, so most of this stuff is nonsense, and you're not even really sure that it's at least the over-the-counter stuff bought. But went that route and felt much better. Was on anti-depression, anti-anxiety when I was like around 25 or 26. I was just starting a new job. I was married. Surprisingly, I had that aspect of my life taken care of, but I was still sad in so many other sad in another way, or agitated in another way. It's really weird how that works out. But anyways, back on track. I conducted auto psychotherapy, so psychotherapy on myself. I've watched everything from Eckhart Tolle to Jordan Peterson on left and the right, the whatever side. I've watched it all. I've read so many books. I would just sit at the library, just try to understand why I was so, or a key. I was looking for a key, like it was like the one key, but it's not. It's a multifaceted approach of tackling your anxiety and depression. And for me, that again, I just speak for me, it was a combination of things ultimately, found with exercise, good sleep, like all, the basics, eating good. But really, I also hesitated just taking a pill for something, because to me, depression to me feels like I'm not content with something. Think about it. If everything is going good in your life, if you have like a stable relationship, a meaningful job, and something to look forward to. I took that from one of the books, Too Late, Old, Too Young, or Too Young, Old, Too Late, Smart. Forgot the book. I'll look it up later. That was his like kind of like trifecta, trident approach on having your life together, and usually one of those things was off in my life, and that's why like it made sense. I would put so much pressure on myself. Again, I'm in my early 30s now, but man, much of my 20s and late teens were consumed with bouts of serious, mind-crushing, like head-banging depression. Like, you can't even formulate sentences. You're so freaking sad about everything. And for the record, I openly admit that I considered suicide seriously, because twice in my life, when I was in about puberty and right before COVID-19, I thought that was bad. So I intend those to be my last. I don't see myself considering things to get so bad. I have enough tools at my disposal for that to happen again. But again, if you're in that place right now, I completely empathize with you, and it's most likely as a result of not your doing. Even as so recently, I've figured out that our economy is completely bankrupt and unequal. I mean, we all knew this, but just how bad it is. Like, what are the sources of my isolation and anxiety and sadness? Well, my financial insecurity. Why is that so? Well, is it something I'm doing? Something I'm doing? Is it something I'm doing? Is it something I'm not doing? No. The minimum wage should be $22 an hour at least, if it kept with productivity growth over the past 5 decades. So we're getting robbed out our pants to earn a decent living. And so that would bear down on me for my worth, and for just being able to purchase new things. It was, because I want to be a creator. I want to help. This is so much more valuable to me than being a hedge fund manager, which I was around in Dallas, Texas. So back on point, I never believed in taking a pill just to solve the thing, because I think it's really a problem with, okay, so there's all these external factors, but what can you do internally to better yourself, to formulate yourself? What can you do, and what can you legitimately not do because of restraints like economic conditions, social pressures, college debt, children, like whatever? What's the best you can do with what you have? And furthermore, going a step further, what would align more with your true nature? What should you be pursuing? And when you do that thing, whatever gives you most joy. Again, this is a combination of everything I've read, everything I've ever read and experienced tells me that ultimately you're not living in alignment with your true nature. Whatever that nature is. Is it a creator? Are you a healer? Are you a teacher? Whatever you do, you need to live in that purpose, and everything else will follow suit. People will come in, maybe they won't. Don't get your expectations too high. So maybe they will right away. Maybe you'll get a boyfriend or girlfriend 6 months later. The universe owes you nothing. You have no control over anyone else, and all you can do is control what you have inside and make the best of that. And when you're in the grips of deep depression, I know that you're having to conceptualize the thought in your head while you're half alive. So that's what makes it so hard. It's you're running a marathon with one leg, and you're going to get there. It's just going to take a long time, versus right now in a state where I don't have depression and I am on a relative stable basis. I can conceptually solve almost anything. I can put out a new YouTube multivaried content every day. I can do anything I put my mind to. But the depression as a result of external factors, of chemical imbalancing, but yeah, chemical imbalancing. Maybe your serotonin's off. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting enough sun? Go through all the basic checklists first, physiological checklists. And if you're lacking on one of the things, I think that's a great start. Because if you're in anxiety or depression, you start with the physiological needs, and then you look at the external needs. You see what you can prune, what you can fix, and leave, what you can, and then finally consider maybe medication or an alternative route, in which my case I've found marijuana to help my anxiety tenfold. It's a daily routine to wake up with a cup of joe or tea and smoke a nice fat bowl of greens. Man, it just after I do my run and workout, like the hard part, man, it just makes my day. Like, I can handle anything. I could jump in my car and drive, to Montana. Like, it's awesome. Tastes like pecan praline. But yeah, I would sit there feeling sorry for myself after my depression. I had to go donate plasma. You can see my scar there. Put a fat needle, in my arm, like over 300 times. And I would sit there and listen to audiobooks and autobiographies of Ron Perlman and Keith Richards and all these icons. And I would listen to psychotherapy books. And I would just like absorb it all. Like, what's the solution? What's the trick? What's the trick? Could someone just point out the solution to me? And no one did. And I know how terrifying that is to be, they all did in different ways what worked for them, but you take what works for you. But, suicide is such a sensitive subject because I didn't feel like, when you think about suicide, you feel like your life isn't meaningful enough, or you're not worthy enough, or no one wants you around. All of those things are untrue, but your mind, like anything, it's like a drug. It justifies an addiction. It justifies the reasons for those. It will make up any reason for that. And I've been blessed to always have like at least one good friend around. At least one good friend. Always something I could count on. And I know everyone's living their lives and stuff, but like just to have one person, to just be around. Just be around when you're in your saddest moments. But I think the takeaway here is it's not you. You're whole and complete as is. You didn't ask to be born into this world. You're just thrown in, and your mental health is so important, and you might as well you're going to be dead soon, like real soon. And in fact, confronting abrupt climate change or confronting your inevitable death in the next 10, 15 years of society makes this actually puts depression and suicide for petty reasons like aside. It's like, well, why am I being a baby about these little problems when this is coming up? I should be enjoying right now. It gives a perspective to that. I wish I would have kind of known that 5 or 6 years ago, or but I don't think I would have believed it. It was a whole process to get to where I'm at now of understanding that we have no retirement. I'm enjoying, this is your retirement. Okay, let's just be real. July 9th, 2021, this is your retirement right now. It's not going to be there later. But if at all that doesn't work, again, last resort, maybe take a pill, but I don't ascribe it because I think the harder work of confronting, of really owning up to whatever truth, maybe you're ashamed about something, maybe you're sad about things didn't work out, but just facing the pure reality of truth of maybe that wasn't meant to be and you didn't ask for any of this or was born into this world. Like, think about the problem from a higher plane of perspective. Or someone died, yeah, they grieved, that's a natural process. Rationalize it. And I know it's so difficult when you're in depression to actually wrap your head around things or conceptualize it because you're debilitated and you're not sleeping well and you're not eating well, and it just sucks. Look at the problem from a different angle, and or really sit with it and unravel it. And sometimes you need therapists to help you unravel it with you. You contain the answer to the problem. Maybe you need a little assistance from your partner or a therapist, and that's perfectly okay. But much of the time for me, I either had books or audiobooks, thank goodness, or I had nothing. Or even my good friends at the time were more, my good friends could only coax the situation. They could only just pacify it, but they could not go through the journey for me. You have to go through the journey into the darkness and come up with the solutions yourself. Or you can keep putting that off and drink every night and not take care of yourself and not even explore it and just be a shitty person. And now talking about this out loud, I realize how completely screwed up and traumatized much of the older population is, because they didn't have the access to the internet and their therapy books, all the resources of information I had to help. I've basically been to therapy school, like, with all the shit that I've read, like years of it, and yet a lot of older people just they suck it up. They manifested the trauma into behaviors as like coping mechanisms, and then thus other people call them, like, for instance, narcissistic or self-centered. That's just how that's their coping mechanism. To others it appears like that, but that's just how they're getting through their demons, or their past demons that they've never let go. So kind of a long video here, guys, but the takeaway is dig deeper and get your physiological state right first. Just focus on your health. And then start to do the hard, long unraveling process of perspective checking on your own expectations, the expectations of society, of the universe, and then come up with a goalposts, missions. What is my next target? What can I achieve next that will bring my life satisfaction up? Then there you go on your way, and off you fly with the rest of us jellyfishes. Hope that was able to help. Don't be too hard on yourself. Have a good weekend.